Listen, you are missing out if you are not leveraging LinkedIn. Where have you been? In this video, we are going to provide our 7 best tips for using LinkedIn for your business. Who am I? I'm LizJSimpson, founder of the Big Money Movement, accompanied by
Cheryl Parks
and Heather Petherick,
our esteemed coaches at the Big Money Movement. So if we're gonna talk about our 7 best tips, oh my gosh, listen, Venmo us, Cash App us, because we should not be giving this away for free, honey, let me tell you. But no, all jokes aside, if we're gonna talk about our 7 best tips, one of my things is that strategy always comes first before tactics.
Yes.
Right? So if we're gonna talk about LinkedIn, that's great, but your strategy comes first. You are not going to be effective on LinkedIn if you don't know who your buyer is.
Yes.
And who you're trying to attract, persuade, compel, educate, fill in the blank.
It's the whole saying of begin with the end in mind,
Yes.
right? If we're looking to leverage LinkedIn to engage with and ultimately propose our services and land deals with corporate clients, we got to know who those ideal buyers are. But the great thing is on LinkedIn, they self-identify.
Yes.
When we know who our key decision maker is for the services that we're offering and the outcomes that we are delivering, we can actually go into LinkedIn and find where those buyers are and start to engage with them. And more than just engage, we can learn about them.
Right.
We can learn about what they're posting, what they're passionate about, what their levels of authority might be. All of it is there and waiting for the taking. So, first tip is identify your ideal buyer. Start with the end in mind. Know who your buyer is because they're on LinkedIn.
They are, and you can do a simple search, right? So LinkedIn is free. I know we say that all the time. Because we're like, hey, so many people are investing money in these tools. We're like, hey, there's a powerful right here, powerful one right here for free. But to your point, when you're looking at identifying your ideal buyer, right? So a lot of times I know we coach women entrepreneurs in the Big Money Movement, and they have a hypothesis of who their buyer is, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that, right? You can take that hypothesis to LinkedIn, to your point, and search. You can search by that job title and kind of see what their roles, responsibilities are, what they're posting about to discern, is this really the person I've been trying to reach?
Yeah, to test that hypothesis.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to jump in with tip number 2.
Let's go.
Tip number 2 is once we identify who our ideal buyer is, our ideal corporate buyer, tip number 2 is being able to get good at quantifying the cost of the ideal buyer's status quo, right? And when we're looking to pitch our services, like to land 5 or 6 figure contracts, we've got to become masterful at being able to quantify what is the cost of the problem right now as it exists inside of the ideal buyer's organization. Oftentimes this problem is the corporate buyers become what I call nose blind to it. They've been tolerating a problem for so long.
Yes,
and how we can stand out on LinkedIn is to start to post content and demonstrate our expertise and actually bring awareness to how painful, how costly, how big is this problem that it's existing inside of the ideal buyer's organization. So tip number 2 is getting good at quantifying and communicating the cost of that problematic status quo.
So I love that point. I'm going to add to it because you mentioned communicate, but I think in addition, you want to communicate in their own language.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're not going to understand the solutions and services you provide in your language. Right. They need to understand how it's going to actually get them to their desired outcome and the impact that they're looking for in their own language. So when you're selling into corporations, Fortune 1000s, whatever it is, they have a certain way of doing business.
Yeah.
They'll talk about cost centers and talk about accounting units and things of that nature. And the more you get to know that organization, the more you start to use their own language. And then you're asking them, what accounting unit do I put this against?
Yes.
And they know that you're very familiar with them.
Yep.
They know that you understand the problem if you can speak in their language.
Yeah, referencing and mirroring their language is one of the easiest and fastest ways to develop rapport and trust with a corporate buyer. And that language is there on the business profile and also on the personal profiles of the executives that work within that organization.
Definitely.
What's interesting about this that I want to call out is we've given 3 tips and we haven't even talked about taking action on LinkedIn yet, right? This is strategy, right? Identifying the buyer, understanding their status quo, communicating in their language, right? These are fundamentals because you will not be effective on LinkedIn if these strategic components aren't completed first, right? So we have strategy in place, we have an audience, we know who that audience is, we're making sure that our messaging is on point so it'll resonate with that audience. From there, where should we go?
So from there, as you start to reach out, you want to be sure that wherever your ideal audience comes to, wherever they land, is optimized. So your LinkedIn profile needs to be optimized. And when we say that, we mean you need to have a profile picture that is flattering in terms of being close enough for the buyer to connect with you. I always say they need to be able to see the whites of your eyes. So, no beach pictures with the umbrella.
No sunglasses.
Yeah, no sunglasses. The banner that you're using, that's prime real estate, right? We call that above the fold. Yeah. And it's really easy to create a banner of any type. There are tools that you can do that.
Free tools.
Like Canva. Canva is a great one.
Free tool.
Definitely. You can create a free tool and they'll give you a template for the LinkedIn banner. That banner typically should have a call to action in it. Where do you want them to go? And then from there, you've got your headline. There are some other things that you can also do, like your 30-second video that you can record from your phone, as well as a website if you want them to direct them there. But beyond that, the next thing you're going to do is your about section. Yeah. Those are the main pieces that you want to basically become a master at. You really want to be able to hit that hard so that when the ideal audience comes to your page, they can learn about you and not learn about just what you do, but learn about why you do it and some of the outcomes you've provided. Yeah. So there's some social proof there, maybe some recommendations there from other clients that you've worked with, and they get a feel for how you do the work that you do.
That's right.
To get them to their outcome.
Yeah. I'm going to add to your point on optimizing a LinkedIn profile so that you can really grab the attention of your corporate ideal buyer. We teach inside of the Big Money Movement a very structured way to organize the about section. I'm not going to give away all the goods, but there is a bit of a formula of how a LinkedIn profile can be optimized to really capture the interest of an ideal buyer. And a lot of it comes down to what we talk about inside of the Big Money Movement, which is big money talk, right? Communicating in those high valued outcomes that our buyer is craving for and they are looking to spend money on. So there is a way to organize this, but I'm not going to give it all away.
Yes.
So our fourth tip is to optimize your profile. So I'll give the fifth tip. So once you've optimized your profile, which is almost like this landing page that drives them to the next step in the buyer's journey, then from there, we've kind of hinted to it, is publishing insights, right? So content. What original content are you publishing? The key, original. What we found is that if you're resharing content, one, the algorithm doesn't really reward or applaud reshares. Secondly, even from a user experience, if I see someone sharing something, that doesn't give me insight into who they are, their map of the world, their approach, their philosophy. So even if you are going to share something, make sure you still speak to why you're sharing it. What's your viewpoint on it? How does it add value to your ideal buyer? So publishing content. One of the things that we know with LinkedIn is only 1% of LinkedIn users consistently publish to the platform. Yeah. There's so much opportunity for you to take up space and be seen as the go-to expert in the eyes of your ideal buyer. Yeah. So I think 5 is to make sure that you're publishing content.
Yes.
For 6, where do we want to go for?
Okay, I got 6.
All right, let's go.
So we've optimized our profile. We have identified our ideal buyer. We have qualified and communicated the cost of the status quo inside of our ideal buyer's organization. We are communicating these big money outcomes in the language of our ideal buyer. We've optimized our profile, and Liz, you just mentioned that you are publishing value-rich content. So number 6 is, dun dun dun, we start to actually engage with our buyer, right? This is where we start to reach out. We've identified who these key decision makers are. Now it's about sliding into those DMs in an engaging and memorable way that delivers value, that shows our distinctiveness in the market and starts to develop those conversations. That's number 6. Engage and start those conversations.
Yeah, humanizing that process, right? I think that sometimes there's so many examples of what a bad approach to the DMs are that people then throw the baby out with the bathwater. They're like, DMs, that doesn't work. Social selling, that doesn't work. And it's like, it does, but so many people are doing it in a lazy, ineffective fashion that they're burning bridges. And what we mean by that is when we talk about humanizing, right, these DMs, we are not talking about leveraging any type of automation. No. That is a quick way to lose your LinkedIn profile, matter of fact.
Yes, actually.
So we're not talking about automation. We're not talking about spraying and praying, right?
Yeah, or spamming.
Right. Spraying and praying is where I have this same canned communication that I'm sending to many people. Yes. So we're not doing that. We're really personalizing, to your point, these interactions in a way that builds a authentic relationship, right?
Can I speak to that personalization piece you're
Sure.
talking about? So you are then moving from the marketing, whether it be outbound or inbound type of sale, to the sales process.
Right.
Where now it's one-on-one. Now I'm looking at your profile and I'm going into it and I'm saying,
Who is this?
what's she about? What does she think? How does she do business? Where has she been? She's been there for 8 years. And then I noticed she's been in these 3 places for 2 years each.
Yeah.
And I know somebody that works at that company, right? So all of a sudden I'm making connections.
Yes.
One-on-one connections. You can call it customized, personalized. So that I know who Heather is and Heather now knows that I know who she
Yes.
is.
Yes.
That's the point,
Yeah.
right?
And as a buyer, that is going to be rewarded. When I see evidence that a service provider has taken the time to, I'm going to call it, lurk and circle me, to understand my digital footprint, understand my experience and what some of my challenges or my philosophies might be, I'm always going to take notice. And I'm going to reward that quality of connection with at least the opportunity for a conversation.
Yes. I appreciate that. And I wish more people would do that because my inbox is full of spam right now.
You're not the only one.
So my 7th tip is, just like most things, inspect what you expect to do what?
Get respect.
Yes. I love that. That is a Cheryllism that I love repeating. So make sure that you look at your data and insights when you're using the tool. So when you're publishing, what type of content is resonating, who's viewing your profile. But there's also an SSI score that most people don't know about, your social selling index score with LinkedIn, which is very telling because it will illuminate the areas of growth that you have on the platform and what to tweak to be more effective. All right, so those were our 7 best tips to maximize LinkedIn and leverage it, but we're not done. We got so much sauce to give. So click that next video where we are going to talk about how do you use LinkedIn to market your business. Click that next video now. Click it, click it, click it, click it, click it.